I spent many years with great ideas trapped in my head, overthinking every detail, collecting inspiration, and eventually not taking action on many of them. Does that sound familiar? If it does, and you are so sick and tired of seemingly not being able to make a move forward, to take action on the things that you say are important to you, this might be for you. Hi, my name is Max, and I begin a journey of sharing my experience with ruminating thoughts, mental loops, and how to take embodied action with little experiments, basically bringing adventure, enjoyment, aliveness back into my life as a father of two, and with the idea to become more alive, notice and rediscover that I have agency and that I can make things and not just think about it. So what I notice is there's a gap between thinking and feeling inspired about something and making it a reality by bridging the gap by taking action step by step so that something can take shape in the world. I would say about myself that I am a very clear analytical thinker. I'm very sharp, I'm intelligent, and that is also my downfall in many times, because I have a feeling the smarter people are, the more prone they are to getting trapped in thoughts because they fear it's not good enough, because they have such a broad perspective. They see what is not in the creation they try to make. They're maybe afraid of judgment. I mean, when I say they or people, I'm actually talking about myself. So maybe you relate, maybe you don't. I actually don't know who else experiences this, but I think people are. So yeah, the perfectionism, the holding back, the feeling stuck, the procrastination, the overthinking, it's all symptoms of the same pattern. Finding it difficult to go from the linear, safe space of thinking out your idea in your mind and feeling inspired about it, because thought does create emotion also, and vice versa, into taking the leap into the world of the unknown, of the unexpected, of the I can't plan everything, of the unpredictable, the world of action, the real world of making a step and realizing that you don't create the path in advance. You can only create it by walking it. So if this is your journey too, I'd love to open this conversation with you. And in this video I want to share a few things that I found helpful. The first is the discovery that I have taste. Little backstory to that. On and off I engage with human design. I don't know if it says anything to you. It's basically a synthesized system of the I Ching, of the chakra teachings, of the Kabbalah, and of astrology. And in my understanding, it provides an understanding of the patterns that drive us. Mostly, how can you make decisions as yourself? How can you make decisions that feel true to you, so your energy is flowing and you can put your life energy to work in the world? Basically, how can you live as yourself and express yourself? And for me, creativity is nothing else than that. and feeling alive when I am creative has to do with making decisions and taking action from how I see the world, how I represent the world in my own internal landscape, and how I make decisions and then make the next step. So what I found is I have taste, and me specifically in human design, I am a splenic manifestor, and it seems that I have the whole stream of taste. So the fuel that actually drives much of my action is that I enjoy it. So for me, a very simple framework that seemed to work, and I'm still working to work the framework, is, do I like it or do I not? If I don't like something, there's not much energy for me available for doing something. And generally that sounds quite generic, I guess, because who does feel the same way? And of course, the nuance of that is there are things in life that, especially as an adult with responsibilities, I'm a father, I have 2 children, I have work, I have to bring in money each month. There are things I don't like to do. And sometimes, even in the very household things, like I don't always like to wash up the dishes when my daughter went to bed and I fell asleep with her. And there's something there that we can face the things that we don't like, still do them, but not focus on that too much. Just get done with it and do it, and then focus more on the things that you do enjoy. Or at least, and this is also part of it, make the things that I can't change in a way that I do it my way, so that I have something about it that I like. And this I like comes from a deep intelligence that sits in my body, which makes the first important point. I can live in my head and try to analyze my way to a decision that is true and right, but what I end up with is a framework of either or, of black and white, of right and wrong. And it is very moralistic. But as you might have noticed, if you are in my age, like I'm 40 now, maybe you are the same, but younger, but older, you might have noticed already that life is not that linear. There's not the one right thing. And even though my mind tells me that I should find the right way to do things, there are more than one way to do things, and all of them can be right if they work for you. And there are several ways that lead to Rome in a way. But the most important principle is you need to take action, you need to get started with it, and you can get very much lost if you try to mentally find the right way for you. At best, take in all the resources that you can find, and if you're like me, you're very good at researching how other people do things, and think you need to find out the best way to do it so that you can find your way. But I would bet that most of the time you have an intuition of what would be right for you, and you don't dare taking the first step, trusting yourself on your path. But this is the way forward, that you trust yourself, take the first step, and build a momentum. Because then we find the next right thing to do. It is all more like a sequence of choices, and they come after each other, so which makes way for a second discovery. Clarity does not necessarily come before action, but while taking action. And you might have heard that before, I'm pretty sure you did, because you're intelligent, like me, and still you don't know how to act on that. Let me tell you, that won't be the moment when you know for sure that this is the right way. There's always this nagging thought that what if it doesn't work? What if I fail? But what I found is it's about reframing that in a way, giving it a different meaning. And it's difficult still for me, because failing does not mean you wasted your time. Failing means you found out a way that does not work, and that does not mean you wasted time because you did not get to where you wanted to go, but you found out a way that doesn't work, and you learn how to do something else differently next time. So, like in nature is extremely iterative, and it works by trial and error. And when I listen to successful people that build very successful companies, And by the way, building a business that creates an income with things that I like to do in my way is one of my big dreams that I have been procrastinating on for 10 years already. They also tell me that eventually you can find, of course, smart ways of doing something, and yes, you can learn by modeling others and finding ways that work better than others. But at the end, you need to find something that you can work more than one way to be successful. And most importantly, you still have to do trial and error. You have to be okay with experimenting and be okay with failing, meaning you need to be okay learning in the process. You need to submit yourself to the process and not be so attached to the point you want to get to. And I can tell you, my mind struggles with that one. It hates it. I hate it. And at the same time, this is where the adventure, the agency lies, because there's no prize to be won. There's nothing to be gained by living correctly, I find. At the end, not. We all die at some point, but what do we do with our time is the question. And I wasted a lot of time trying to think about the perfect way to do something in the hope, in the attempt to not waste time by finding the right way. So the mind is very sure that it can figure things out, but there's some things that are not figure outable. They have to be discovered through action. Yeah. So clarity can come to a degree before taking action, but a big part of my clarity comes through taking action and building momentum and being consistent. I will go deeper into that in other videos, but it's enough for now. The last thing that I found that helps me is that I realized that generosity and feeling connected to others can be a big driving force for being creative, or to take action. And as an example, and this in itself is another subject, resource transfer, but this is a nice example. Maybe you've noticed in your life that there are certain areas where you are too creative. Maybe it's cooking, maybe it's art, maybe it's music, maybe it's talking to people, maybe it's I don't know, whatever kind of hobby you have or so. You seem to be effortlessly disciplined. You have no problem failing, making mistakes and learning from them. While in others, usually areas where there's a passion for that, where you want to make a progress, you find it very difficult. So it's not that your whole life is a failure by not being able to take action on what is important to you, but just some things that come so naturally you don't even think about it. At least for me it's the case. One area where that is the case is cooking. I love to cook and I love to make breakfast for my family. As I said, I think I said it, I have 2 kids and of course a partner, a wife. And one morning, it was about 5 o'clock, I got up early to make breakfast for them so my wife could take care of our youngest and then could bring our daughter to the kindergarten without having to make breakfast. And I did that before going to work. So I had about half an hour before I had to let our dog out. And I didn't really know what was in the house, so I checked in the morning, what did we have? So there was limited resources ingredient-wise. I had limited time, another limiting resource. And at the beginning I had no idea what to do, but I had an intent. I wanted to make breakfast. So there was a driving force to make something, you can say generously, for my family, for them to enjoy, to start their day. And just to lift you on that meta level of looking at this story, see how that refers to anything that you want to make in your life. For example, building a business where you have other people you make it for that will enjoy it, that is valuable to them, what you make. And there is an interaction. So for me, I made pancakes eventually. And I was so happy doing it. I really enjoyed the process. It was such a fun experience. And I realized that the things I struggle with in building a business, I don't at all struggle with when I make pancakes. And I thought, how's that possible? Because in principle, it's the same thing. Just certain ideas are attached to what I'm doing that live in my mind that make it very difficult. And yes, as an adult, there are maybe constraints and pressures that you have to deal with, like making money to pay for food, that make a difference. But by having a day job where money is secure, it's not like I'm quitting my job and trying to build a business. I have a safety net. It still is a struggle for me. So I noticed that in having in the frame of my mind that I make something generous for others to enjoy, gives me joy, and I can let my creativity flow. So in terms of business, if I would connect more to the people, even though I don't know them yet, that I make it for, and I envision how it benefits them. Like I envision making this video now and you listen to it, and even just a little bit of what I'm saying resonates with you and you find it helpful for your life, however that looks like, whatever you take from it, whatever you make from it. I use my ability to self-express and share my experience, share my insights, share my thoughts to enrich your life in some way or form. It gives joy to what I'm doing. So I like to make things for other people. I also like to make things for myself, but I honestly don't have that so much. I'm not so much a tinkerer for myself. I like to walk in nature, I like to just sit in silence and maybe not do much, but when it comes to creating, I love to create for others. I love to impact other people. I love to be valuable to others and have a conversation with them where I feel the connection, where I feel that my life is meaningful because it is meaningful that I am present in other people's lives. Maybe you relate to that. And it can be different for you again. So, yeah, that is the third realization. By tuning into generosity and connection, taking the step to action in and overcoming the analytical paralysis of my mind of what's the right step to take, takes me out of this either or thinking and brings me into the deep knowledge of my body that lives with joy and the ability and responsibility of creating. Yeah. So again, coming full circle to just give again this overview, there's a gap between thinking and doing. And I found that my sense of taste, of the framework of what I like, what I don't like, helps me make decisions. And it's even easier when I know what I'm doing it for, having a purpose with it, having someone to make it for. That helps me step out of this overthinking analytical paralysis and knowing that there's no the best at all, but I can do the best with what I have in the moment. And my measure now of doing the best is my heart in it. Am I doing it because I love to do it? And my heart is in it when I know that I can do it for people that I care about. And this is a framework that works for me. I'm curious to know if you relate to that, if it is similar for you, or if maybe your framework looks very differently, but just listening to that, maybe you discover what is working for you. Because there's no one size fits all. We are all very individualistic and we need to discover ourselves in order to self-express and find that agency and joy of being alive and find the zest of life. So, as I hopefully made clear, I'm not here as an expert. I don't take that role at all. I'm just here to share my journey. And listening to other people sharing their journey, I find that in this day and age of lots of content creators, I enjoy that we are living in a time where people don't just want to hear from experts, but they love to hear authentic stories, because we know that everyone is on their own journey, but we can inspire each other and maybe guide each other a certain length of the way and walk alongside each other. And that's the kind of journey that I am here for. So if you feel inspired, it's great. If you didn't, I still enjoy doing this video. And this being the second take, I hope it recorded. I don't know. Let me see. I will check it out after I recorded it. So it's again like, it's one thing too. Maybe I wasted almost 20 minutes of my life doing a video that has no sound. like the 25 minutes I recorded the first session. And still, I want to express myself. I want to reach out to others, to contribute to a culture that embodies more of this, because I know that this is what keeps us from feeling alive, from feeling joy. And I notice that this kind of connection with myself, and hence with the world around me and the people around me, is what adds juice to my life, some spice to it, some enjoyment and adventure. So this channel aims at helping you and myself finding more adventure, finding more enjoyment, finding more of yourself in your life, and not regretting that you have been thinking so much. This is book by, what's her name? I don't know, I forgot the name. It's a book by an Australian nurse. She worked in hospice care, I think, caring for dying people. And she wrote a book, the 5 regrets, the 5 things dying people regret the most, or something like that. And one of the things is that people regret not having taken their own dreams so serious enough to act on them, and wasting lots of time. I'm in the middle of my life, I guess, and I notice that I have certain regrets for not taking action on many things. I might talk about that a bit later. But I want to change that for myself and for my kids, because I want to be a role model and example of someone who's alive, that can help them keep their aliveness that they naturally have at that age. And I don't want to be bitter when I grow up further, when I grow old. I want to feel more alive. And that requires me to have a shift of mental attitude, a shift of how I relate to my mind and how I self-lead myself and trust my own taste. So that's it for today. If you took something from this, if something of this video was inspiring to you, I would love to hear what it was. And if you want to share maybe your struggles, write them in the comments. If you feel like there's more juice in this that wants to be talked about, other areas, other adjacent themes of this topic complex, let me know, and I would love to talk about it. So it's a beginning, and I want to stay on it. I know it might take time to reach more people, but this conversation is important to me, and if you listen to it until this point, I know it's important to you too. So let's connect on this. Stay relaxed, enjoy yourself, and you can do this. Trust yourself. See you in the next video.